everyone. It's Wednesday. Wake up, Jay. Welcome back to another episode of Jay Talk. It's been over 3 months now, hasn't it, Jay?
Just about.
Oh man, I'm excited. I'm happy for this. I didn't know how long it would last, so 3 months is an accomplishment, I think. But
what's going on, everybody? Me and Josh would like to thank you guys for coming out to another week of the J Talk podcast. We really do appreciate it. We hope you guys have been enjoying it, and we hope you take away some stuff from it, especially this next topic we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, absolutely. As he said, I am Joshua. This is One Hero, and today we have an interesting topic to talk about.
That's Jerry, One Hero.
Jerry, shut up. So, Jay, you've been talking about, you do these things called flights, right? You want to kind of explain what a flight is?
Well, since my name or my moniker is One Hero, instead of doing it where it's called a blog or a video, I figured I would do flights because they're flights where you come on a flight with me for a really quick segment as I discuss something of a thought or anything like that. And most recently, it's been about sharing my personal thoughts, viewpoints, downfalls, so on and so forth. Just a little bit of an outlet that more people can connect to me in hopes of inspiring more people to keep going and doing their own thing.
Awesome. And I'm really enjoying them. But so why don't you talk about your more recent one, though?
Well, I don't know if you do, Josh. I don't see any comments or anything.
I like all of them, Jay. I like all of them.
I can't see the likes. But the most recent one I talked about was breaking your creative limits. That one was more or less about, not placing yourself inside of a box and to actually open up your mind to different possibilities on how you create. You go from a concept from an idea to a concept, and that concept can go from a video game to a board game to an animated pilot of 5 minutes or so. It can go in so many different ways, but so many people get set on one thing and they go for that one thing alone, and that's it. That's all they go for, and nothing more, nothing less. So it was about, seeing outside of that and breaking that barrier.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you really quick, why do you think we have these self-imposed creative limits?
Well, it's the double-edged sword of writing what you know. For a lot of people, they would rather stay into that comfort zone and write what they know. And that kind of goes into the realm of you're just cruising to compete. I can compete if I stay in this lane. This is the lane I know. This is what I know. I can draw people this way, or I can only draw women, or I can only write drama, or I can only, create horror. I'm going to stick to that because that's what does me best. But when in reality, what you should be doing is challenging yourself to become better in another lane, in another avenue. It's still under creation at the end of the day, but that's where people really lose sight of pushing themselves to be better. You're competing with somebody that thinks it's okay to be at 50%, and you don't even know that they're at 50%. You just think that's the standard. When in reality, you could be at 100% and leave them behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. So my thinking is, this podcast, I'll give you some backstory here. This podcast came about because I've been listening to this new album I found. It's not new, it's new to me. And I've been really enjoying it. It's called Sprained Ankle by Julian Baker. And it's really hit home this point of, I've always wanted to write sad. I don't know if you know that, Jay, but I really like writing sad, depressing stories. But here's the thing. I can't write a good, sad, depressing story. You get that? You feel me there?
Oh yeah, I love dramas and thrillers, but I'm like, can I do it? And I fall into that lane of I can't. Out of all my story ideas I have right now, they all have some fantasy element to it versus it being something of slice of life or just down to earth. It's like I find myself trying to find a way to finagle that in when sometimes stories don't even need it. The story itself is just really good, but you go back to that niche of what you are comfortable with or what you like and what you enjoy, and then you do that, and then you kind of really cut out a certain base of crowd that you could have probably reached out to or touched, or one person.
Mm-hmm. Well, this album that I've been listening to has really kind of reminded me, because I mean, people don't know, like, Disney was meant to originally be more of a, a sad, more of like a more somber approach to superheroes. That was my take on it. Is I kind of wanted to make something like Modern Watchmen, if we're being honest.
Or the Addams Family superheroes.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, but and some people, you might even read some of my scripts, is that I really wasn't good at that. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't kind of get to that point of it. And so this album's kind of been bringing up this thought in me. I've been thinking about it a lot. Like, how am I going to break that limit? Because I don't want to always not be like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to always not write what I know. And I don't say to say this. There is benefits to writing what you know. Like this girl that wrote this album, Julian Baker, it's really well done. Really, really, really well done to me. And lyrically, I think it's crazy good. And she's writing what she knows. She's writing from pure experiences, pure emotions, but she's not holding anything back. That's the important thing. I think that's you got to denote is she's not holding anything back. She's just putting it all out there. And that's what I think was my problem when I would write what I know. You know, because I don't know this true sadness to the degree that I want to write. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And because that's the thing that a lot of people will end up doing is that they'll try to write something or they'll try to create something that they think they know when they don't know. Mm-hmm. And it's like when you can really write something from what you know, it makes a big difference. It's kind of like how the musicians, there are certain musicians that come out with an album maybe once every couple years. Think about it. Think about Adele. Ever since Adele's been out, her music has been very far in between. But when it hits like the Titanic on the iceberg. Because it's true. It's true to life. It's real feelings like that. Hello. That song sounds like it's been brewing in her heart for quite some time. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of artists that do that. They'll wait. They'll gather experience from life, and then they'll write from that. And that's what I think is really cool, is that for me, all of my stories that I write have a message or theme that I want to write about, that I've experienced or I have a true thought about. So it's either a true thought that you have on how you think it would be, or it's something that you've experienced, and you're trying to find a way to retell it in a story way for other people to see how you experienced it. Or this is you saying, I think if I was in this message, theme, feeling, whatever it may be, this is how I would have gone about it, or this is how I think it would have happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of my coworkers gave this really good example. He's an artist, and he said it's kind of like this. In my head, I have an image, and I can see an image almost identical to what I want to draw, what I want to create. But I can't create that exact same image no matter how hard I try, because I don't know that image. It's not my image. It's not me. And it's kind of the same with writing. Is I'm of the mind that you never write what you don't know. Every single character, whether you like it or not, is a piece of you. Every single story is a piece of you. And Adele, I mean, she says, you know, she's happy now, but at some point she felt this sadness and this sorrow. She felt these things, and this is, you know, and she's putting it down, and she's able to give emotion life through her music. So it's tough, you know. I agree with you. You got to break your boundaries, but you also, I think, kind of need to stick to what you know. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, because there are a lot of people, and I'm one where if I didn't have the message and theme that I wanted to convey in Infinite the Journey, it would look really bad with me trying to create from experience or personality or whatever from, you know, the Japanese inspiration or the Asian inspiration that this story has, because I'm not Asian, I'm not Japanese, I'm not knee deep in that culture. Yeah, I watch anime. Yeah, I've ate sushi. Yeah, I ate at some heavily American influenced Chinese restaurants, but I am not Japanese, I'm not Asian, I'm not any of that nature. So it'd be very stupid for me to say, oh, well, yeah, I know this. I've been heavily imbued in this whole culture my life. No, I've never lived there. I've never been there. I wasn't alive during the time of the samurai. I wasn't alive during Edo era. I wasn't alive during any of that. But if I do enough research and enough research, you can possibly find a connection for you to use through your research to create something. Again, it's about what you know. Research means you're retaining information that you now know that you can apply into that story. But a lot of people don't do research. They go off of what they see from what other people have done, and then they go off and create that or what they think they know. And then the story comes out bland, or it comes out weird, or it comes off, rocky, or whatever it may be, because you didn't do research and you just did it because you were fell in love with the aesthetics of Japanese culture or whatever it may be. That's a very big one.
Yeah, and I think that was my problem. Is I really like somber music. I like somber stories. I like somber everything. I live in darkness. I close my blinds and I shutter my windows. And to me, stuff like that has always been appealing. And when I tried to write Disney like that, I missed the mark. And part of it is just because I didn't really have the tools. Like we all have our own experiences that we draw emotions from, but I never really knew how to write it. I didn't research it. I didn't know. I just knew what I liked. And my big creative, and so I sell this to say, we're talking about breaking creative boundaries and writing what you know, but my big creative boundary, I think, that I'm learning to break is learning and retaining that information. Does that make sense? Because, again, I write what I like, and that's my big vice, I guess. And I'm learning to break that because that's what I know.
And that's why I say it's a double-edged sword, because it's like it really boils down to why you're creating. A lot of people just create what they like, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But what happens is that if the people that you're trying to reach don't like they're not picking up what you're putting down, they aren't liking what you're putting out, you can't be upset. And that's why you need to have the mindset that you're creating for you. You're creating what you want and what you like. At the end of the day, that will be the best thing you could ever do. It goes into tapping into what makes you you, and again, making that story unique. It's putting you in it. So if you're creating with that mindset, you're fine. But also, again, if you want to create a story that you enjoy, just write from what you know, because it'll come to you a lot easier. What you like. It's kind of weird when I'm talking about breaking the barriers, it's taking from how you want to represent that story. Whatever's going to be the best for you, whatever you're going to have the most fun with. Sure, there's so many ways you can do it. There's really no right or wrong way, and I don't want anybody to take away from this saying that, oh, well, this is the wrong way or the right way. We all have our different ways of creating, which is what makes it a beautiful thing. Me and Josh can come up with the same idea for something, but guess what? We have two different limits, creativity limits. We have two different personalities. We have two different mindsets, two different creative likes. So those things are always going to be different. It's just taking the time to figure out what's going to be best for you and how you're going to tell the best story that you can, and you're going to enjoy doing it from beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah. Oh, that's the best way of saying it. Thank you for putting into words what I struggle with. As always, Jay. Yeah, so it's tough.
Thank you very much.
I really want to talk about creating what you know. That's the big thing. Is I think you should. The big thing I wanted to talk about tonight when we got here was capturing the emotion of what you know, and that's really what I mean when I say writing what you know. Because I've never written a thriller in my life, but I've got one planned, and I don't know if it's going to be good or if it's going to be bad. And you can bet I'm going to one day write a sad story, because that's what I want to do. That's what I want to create, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm studying. I'm learning, Jay. I'm listening to you. I'm reading here. I'm going through books, listening to music, watching movies, hearing what these people have to say about the creative processes. I'm learning it all.
Yeah, Josh, you would not want to write a somber story after you just went on the marathon listening to "I got a pocket full of sunshine." There's no way you would be able to come up with the story that you want as a somber thing like that. Think about the method actors. Think about how Leonardo DiCaprio goes through the lengths that he does to be in character, or how Heath Ledger, God rest his soul, locked himself in darkness and became this person. Even Jared Leto's doing the same thing, but a lot of people get themselves into this mindset. So it's really just about how you create.
Yeah, Yeah, and I'm here to say I'm encouraging people. I want you guys to be creating as best as you can to the fullest extent of what you can. And I'm not trying to say stick yourself in a box because Jay, I think that's a big problem. That's what we were just talking about. How easy? I'm gonna ask you, Jay. How easy is it to stick yourself in a box?
Extremely easy, because the first thing that comes to mind, you just go with it. Don't even question it. You're like, oh, I like it. I know this is what I want to do. Boom, done.
Mm-hmm. And to give you a crazy example, Jay, you started off writing. You wanted to be a graphic designer, and that's where you got the idea for comics, right?
Graphic designer was something I did in high school for desktop publishing, and then it just went from there to the reason why I started out wanting to do comics was because of film. I wanted to do film, but this is the best way. Comic books was the best way for me to get my visions out, and in hopes that it captures the eye of those that want to turn it into a film.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of where I'm going with this, is to say, when was the last time you wrote a script for a film?
I haven't. That's pretty much the whole purpose of it, was that I instantly went from even I've had good friends say, I remember, Jay, when you told me you started out wanting to write a film, and I instantly over time said, I'm a comic book writer. I'm a writer for comic books. What are you talking about? This is what I do. This is what I'm doing. This is this. And it was all comic books. It was comic books or die.
Mm-hmm. And I'm guilty of the same thing. I'm guilty of saying, why would I write a film script when nothing's going to come from it? Why wouldn't I just write a comic book script? Because I'm not just a comic creator. And I get mad at myself, and sometimes I almost beat myself up over it, because there's movies I want to make. There's ideas that I want to do for short films. And I've learned that the key to that, and this is my tip to success on this: start small and write what you can, write what you know, write what you are capable of doing.
But Josh, with you even wanting to do that, you can still do a storyboard for a film.
Absolutely.
You can do all of the necessary steps that somebody would do in the professional field just yourself. And that's where people get intimidated. They're like, well, how or why? Look, the internet is vastly superior than what it used to be. You can find out how to do just about any and everything that you need to do your own film from the ground up. People just get intimidated because they're like, well, this is too much work, or and that's another thing about breaking that limit. No, you don't. What is it? Fear. You don't fear anything where you fear everything and run away. You fear everything and run toward it. Like, no.
No, I agree with you. One big thing that I'm thinking now, I'm remembering, that comes back to me, is because I know you and I both have ideas that, and we should talk about these sometimes, these film ideas we want to do. But the thing that comes to mind, and this is what I have to remind myself every time I get to this point, is that Paranormal Activity was shot with a budget of $15,000. It was shot in a single house, and it used 2 actors, I think. And it was pretty much the epitome of a college student film with like a small budget. And if they could do that and turn it into this
the amount of money that I put to our comic books, realistically, that means that in 5 years I could have had my own film.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I'm saying. You could make your own Paranormal Activity style film. It might not be. The thing is Paranormal Activity it knows what it is. It's a movie in a house. It plays to that strength. It is what it knows. It knows what it is. You'd have to kind of work with that, but you could make a film. By the time you can make a film in 5 years, Jay, you could probably make a film sooner than that if you save your money properly. If you're not spending it on comics like I do.
I mean, and it depends on who you get too. Yeah, like it's limitless. So you go with what you know. There are tons of people I know that love fighting games, that love video games, and it's like, well, why not take your story and make it look like one, or present it like one? And people may go, well, what's the point of that? It's like, you don't know. It's worth a shot.
Yeah, it's worth trying. Writing what you know means it's worth trying.
Exactly.
That's just kind of my thing. It's like I got a lot of musician friends, and it always amazes me because I'll be honest, and I don't mean this as a slag to any one of my musician fans, is a lot of these people are in bands and they're married and they've got a kid or something and they're in their mid-20s, late 20s maybe. And I'm not slagging them because we're all creators here. But they create, and when you see those people on stage, they're happy. They love it, right? I don't know if you've ever been to one of your friends' concerts, but I guarantee you, he or she, they're up there and they're playing and they're having a blast. And because that's all that is. It's fun to them. They're creating what they know. They're creating music they know, and they're creating music they like, and they're not letting anything hold them back. And I wish I was like that. That's the moral of the story is I wish I was like that. But here's the thing. I can be like that. I can be that person that's on the stage happy. I can be the guy sitting at my desk writing a script for a movie. You know? You feel me?
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like I've been talking a lot. You got anything to say? I don't want to like walk all over you.
No, you're getting out what you need to say. That's fine.
Yeah. And this one's one of those more therapy podcasts more so than others. But it's just been something that's been tugging at me this past few days, you know?
Yeah. Basically, people just really need to understand that there is no pressure when creating. You create because you choose to create. You want to create. There's nothing or no one else in the way of you doing that but you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's it. And don't let anyone hold you back.
You can't win everybody over. You can't win everybody over. Just because you like something doesn't mean everyone else will. You have to accept those realities. You have to accept those facts. But you can't get defensive. You can't get mad. You have to create. I don't think I've ever heard M. Night Shyamalan as some of the movies he's gotten flack for go back and fight and defend himself in an ugly manner. He's like, this was my vision. This was my dream. This was what I saw. This is what I did. I'll take the consequences and repercussions for it, but it's what I wanted to do. Whereas the guy that did Gods of Egypt, he said, you guys are a bunch of mindless idiots and you couldn't do better or whatever the case may be. He slagged a lot of people, especially all the people that were reviewing it. But it's not his fault. He shouldn't have gotten that way. You should be in the seat of director creating film when you're going to respond like that. You're not going to win everybody over, especially if you come out with something like that. There are those creators that unfortunately will get slagged because they make movies constantly and nobody likes. That's just the reality of it. And there are people that will actually there's the way where you can go about the route of a sellout, if you will, where you're just solely creating to get likes, to get people to like you for whatever you think that they like, and that's just being a people pleaser. Whereas you can truly create for you, create what you know, create what you like, and create what you want. And people will like you for you or they won't. But at the end of the day, it's better to be genuine because it's happy. And if it's about the money, then please go that other route and be the corporate person. If not, be that rebel, stand alone independently and create your stuff.
Yeah,
and accept it for what it is and how it's going to be.
Yeah, I think that's the problem I have with is the acceptance of what it will be and what it will probably always be, And that's where I struggle, if we're being honest. I don't know, do you struggle along at this path at any point?
I did at first. I truly did. I really, really did, especially with Infinite. Doubting myself, doubting the story, doubting its capability, doubting its reach. And in reality, again, I've said this over the last, couple of podcasts or just in general, telling a lot of people that know me that eventually I started to take everything that I believed was a mess and I turned it into a better message, because if you're failing, you really look at failing as in you're learning to grow versus where I just failed and I don't know where to go. So I learned from that where Infinite was literally made out of my own personal taste and vision, but it was made and it was only going to attract a certain crowd. There are my family members and friends that love me dearly that just won't read Infinite because it's a manga inspired story. It's not their cup of tea. Am I mad at them for that? No. But my other stories that are more Western style, that are more catered toward these bigger audiences, sure. Did I do that as far as a form of selling out or just trying to do something to make people like it? No. It just so happened to be that way. because I don't just like manga, I don't just like anime, like I like other things, and this is me showing that I wanted to write film and stuff like that. Like Infinite may be on the same equivalent as 47 Ronin or something like that, you know, or The Raid, or those movies that really like are cult classics. Like people like, dude, I loved it. It was a self-contained story, and you know that's what it is. Or what is it? The Sword and the Hidden Dragon, I forget, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You know, it
The
could be
Sword and the Hidden Dragon.
something like that. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It could be one of those movies where not everybody liked it, but it was represented really well. It was a really good story. It stayed true to what it was supposed to, and it was something that those people knew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, words right out of my mouth, man. That's the thing, and I think I've said this a couple of times, the moral, but I think the thing I'm trying to say is you can write what you know, and you can grow what you know, and you can make whatever you want truly in the end. But if you don't write about things you don't know about, that's where you're going to fall like me. That's what I did. I wrote what I liked. I didn't write what I know. I knew I liked something, and that was about all I had to go on. It's kind of like running on a treadmill but trying to get somewhere, and you end up just burning out. You're trying to get 10 steps away from where you are, but you're just running in place in the end. That's the feeling.
And the thing that happens from all of that is that if you're writing what you like versus, like, if I was to write everything that I liked and I didn't have the message or theme that really drove me to put to dig into, to pull away from, my stories would fall short. They would really fall short, because then it's like, what am I pulling from? What is my inspiration? What is my motivation? What's my engine? What's my gas? What's my why? Whenever I think of a story that I wanted to create or a character I want to create, I ask why. What's going to be my why? What's going to be that character's why? What's going to be that story's why? What's going to be that core? Because if it has no core, no foundation, I'm literally building a house of cards with no glue while Hurricane Katrina is on its way. Because eventually it's going to get blown away. It's going to fall. You're going off blind hope. You don't go into anything without a game plan, a strategy, or just something to have. Because like every day we wake up, we have that why, we have that strength. So again, a story has to have a why you're creating it. Versus when I just think, guns, cowboys, and aliens is cool. Well, do you think that's going to connect with people? Or do you think it's going to be just a visual spectacle for people to enjoy? I remember I thought about doing something like, oh, well, what about we do guns and swords and cowboys and samurais? And everybody's like, yeah, that would be cool. But what's the story? And I'm like, what do you mean? You're not going to be just bedazzled by the amazing effects of that? Well, I mean, Jake, you gotta have a story behind it or something. No, that is a story. It's cool. It's got those elements in it. No, that's not a story, bro. You need to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah,
and it's kind of much.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like you're able to capture the aesthetic, but what does that mean? And I'm not saying you should not go after something that you think is visually attractive. Like I make stuff and I design characters and I send them to Ruben and we work on them together. It's like I make a character that I want to see in comics. I want to see that I think is cool looking, but I make sure I know why that character's there. I know why that character exists. I know what that character is there to do. And that's been like a multi-year long lesson, and I'm still learning, and I don't think I'll ever really stop learning it, because you hit your boundary, and then what do? You hit your limit. What do? You get knocked down. Do you stay down or do you get back up? Why do we fall down, Bruce? So we can learn to get back up. But I don't know. That's the big message. That's the thing I've been thinking about lately is I want to write a somber story, and I want to get to the point of being able to do that. So how do I do that? Like I can only write what I know. Like dreams. You never dream, and you might not know this, Jay, but do you know all the people with faces in your dreams are people that you've seen before?
Mm-hmm.
Your brain can't make up people in your dreams, and kind of like stories like that. You can't make a story if you don't know. You can kind of capture the image of them, but you can't truly create what makes it perfect. So that's what I've been learning, and I'm committing. I'm saying it here on podcast live on air. I can't take it back. I'm committing to learning. I'm gonna try to in the next year or so commit to writing and hopefully turning a somber story or a somber idea of a story into a true full-blown story. So I've said it here on podcast, though. Not that many people listen, but it's here. And Jay, sure. If I ever say, I don't remember saying that, you can be like, oh yeah, podcast, 12 months in or 12 weeks in, I'm right here, hour and a half. Call me on it. Put me on blast. You got it?
12 weeks in, really? I thought
12
it was
weeks.
13, Josh.
Is it 13? 13 weeks in, half an hour into the podcast.
It's 12. It's 12.
Is it 12? Oh gosh, you're scaring me. I'm like, oh, what is time? I don't know time anymore. Anyway, so that's my big thing is I'm committing to learning and committing to trying to write that story. And I would like to challenge you, Jay. Commit to trying to write a film script, you know? You want to make your things into films, and I think that's a good idea. You should commit to trying to write a film script, like a 30-minute short film.
Yeah, I recently was challenged by a friend to write to do some writing and write an actual story. I run away and I shy from breaking the creative limit to believe that I can actually create a story that I would really continue to enjoy or that would keep me moved. Even if I didn't have the aesthetics of comics or art to back it up. That was my creative limit and barrier, was that I only truly thought that I could convey my stories where people would believe it, enjoy it, like it, whatever it may be, just from it being a comic book. And it's like, well, if that's the case, I'm already setting myself up for failure, because in reality, I should be able to create whatever I wanted to create and get people to react to it. And if not, I need to, figure some stuff out, evaluate myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for me, I'm the exact opposite. I love comics. Comics to me is the ultimate medium. I would like to make a film at some point, but for me, but the be all end all is comics. And so when I get those characters and I see them, that's what motivates me. And Jay, I bet if you had a script and you took it and you had a friend that wanted to make a film and you said, write me a script, I bet that would motivate you, huh?
If if anything was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the whole catch to it all. That's the catch 22. It's like, yeah, if it was easy, everybody would do it, but it's not. So it's only got to be if you want to do it. If you want it, sure. I figured that my way of kind of making my stamp on, hey, I can make a film too, is by saying, hey, well, look, I've got a comic book. People like my ideas. They want to see what I have. But if they don't see it as a film, they don't see it as a film. It may not even come out as a film. It may be a short film. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know until you write it all out, till you pursue that whole idea through. That's another thing. People don't pursue ideas all the way through. And again, that may happen because you realize this isn't what I want to tell. This isn't what I want to do. This conversation is it's infinite. It can go on and long and long until you get dizzy about it.
It is quite a journey.
Ha, ha, ha. Infinite, dizzy. Ha, ha, ha.
Hilarious.
I do my best.
No, it's true. I don't I feel like we repeat a lot of stuff on this podcast, but yeah, it's tough following things through. And that's why I'm saying on podcast, Jay, you can say, hey, when you didn't follow through with this, you can call me on it. But I don't get why we give up, That's, I guess, at the end of the day, I don't understand. Why do we give up? Why did we stop?
That's easy. If it was easy,
yeah,
everybody would do it. You get this awesome idea in your head and you go, yeah, I'm about to do it. I've been a victim of it. I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. This is the next best thing since sliced bread and breathable air. I'm about to drop it, baby. Hey guys, this is what I got. And they go, that's it? Really? Like that,
Mm-hmm.
that's your great idea. Yep. And I like it. I like it a lot. We don't. And then I instantly go, to the trash can you go. When in reality, that's just 1% of the world. Mm-hmm. That happened to me with my music. When I was doing music, when I was rapping, and just doing music and doing instrumentals and stuff, I let the 1% of people that were around me sway me away from it, and I don't do it anymore. But because they're like, oh, well, you sound like this person, you sound like that person. It's like, you know what? At the end of the day, I don't create for you. And that's when I got that mentality after started doing this. I don't create for you. I don't care what you say. You may not like it, but there's probably a ton of other people in the world that may like it. I am sorry. I wish the best for you to enjoy this story if you choose to. If you don't, I'm sorry. Tough cookies. But I need to create for me, because if I start creating for you, I'm failing myself. If I start living for you, I am failing myself. I am me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the end, it's you have this identity in yourself, and when you lose that, I think that's when you finally lose your why, lose why you wanted to create, why you wanted to do.
Yeah, you
I
get
don't know.
shaken. Yeah, you get shaken, and then you lose faith. Yeah, you lose faith. You lose, you lose ambition. You lose all of that stuff. Absolutely. But just going back to it, you really have fun when you go and see things that you want to see that connect best with you. So just imagine if you were creating things that connect best with you. You can show that emotion a lot better. You can show that in the characters a lot better. Instead of saying I want to create this cool black guy because it's the end thing right now. It's like, well, what connection is he going to have with anybody besides being black? The challenge would be that you want to make something about race, or you want to make something where it's going to be creating what you know. Take that personality of somebody and make it connect with somebody. Don't just create something to say I need to create this, or it has to be cool to create or whatever and whatnot, because that's very annoying to see. You're forcing me to connect off of something of an aesthetic because it's a cool girl that can wield a sword, or it's the cool black guy that I don't see often, or it's the non-power protagonist. I don't care about any of that. Why would I care about this person if they're gonna live or die? If they're gonna make the decision, they're gonna make the jump, they're gonna get the girl. Make them care, and that's where you create what you know. You may have that uncle, that brother, that sister, that friend, that teacher, that principal, that police officer, whatever it may be. You can take those personalities from things that you know and incorporate them into your story, and then give somebody a perspective of something like that. They may not have met anybody like that. I know tons of people that are perfect characters in real life that would be great characters in the story. So why not use those from things that I know and I've already experienced to do that? I'm doing it creatively. I'm challenging myself to incorporate that versus making it harder on myself.
You know? Yeah, no, it's true. We all have that friend, that person, that experience, that story. It might be something in passing, but it happened nonetheless. And you can draw from that. You know that. You've experienced it. And you will never forget it, like it or not. And that's what you should draw from. You shouldn't draw from things that I don't want to step on any toes here. This is a bit of a controversial topic for some people. Aesthetic shouldn't define you as a creator. If you create a story purposely for the only purpose of having a set, I mean, look at Batman versus Superman. A lot of people feel like it's just an aesthetic. Same for Man of Steel. It's just this dark aesthetic that Zack Snyder thought would translate into a good film. And for some people, it did. For some people, the aesthetic was enough to draw them in. But for a lot of people, there wasn't any substance below the aesthetic. There wasn't any real meat in the story, and it put them away. And for me, I'm probably not going to see a lot of Zack Snyder films because of these movies. It's because I feel like he's just writing off of an aesthetic. He's writing what he thinks would look cool.
Right.
And it's sad. It saddens me, honestly, to see creators that are like that. And I'm like that sometimes as well. I shouldn't say it saddens me like I'm better than them, because I'm exactly like that. I am that person.
Yeah, and again, that's another reason why I personally said that I've fallen into that bracket where if I'm like, well, if I make these stories that I have into just novel form or whatever, they're not going to do as good. And it's like, well, why do you say that? Why? Why? What is your reason for saying that? Why do you utter such words? And it's from the fact that I'm like relying on the aesthetics of comics to carry the story. So it's a challenge to make sure the stories that I want to tell, the stories that I want to create, are stories that will truly captivate what I know, what I feel, what I've experienced, so that way I kind of have a stronger connection with that story to where I know it's going to reach someone, or it's going to at least give a very good attempt to it. It may not do its best job, but it's going to have a very good attempt in reaching those people, because it's a lot better than just something to rely on the aesthetics.
Yeah, see, and I completely agree with that. And I say all that to say, I'm working on my story now. I've been working on this for about a couple weeks now. But in my downtime between Disney chapters, I came up with this idea. So I wanted to write a character who was in comics, because he was handicapped. We don't really have that many characters that are handicapped in comics. And I thought that'd be a good thing to write about. Good idea, good topic. But I'm not handicapped. I'm not handicapped. I don't know what it's like. I've never been handicapped. I've never broken a bone in my body. So do I give up and do I stop writing? No, I don't. I find someone that I can talk to, that I can learn from. And I found a man who has post-polio. And I've been working really closely with him, trying to develop a story that we can tell. And it's kind of like, and then Jay did his Flight 3, which we'll link below. But it was kind of like this moment where it was just like, why I want to write somber. I'll write somber, and I'll study, and I'll learn, and I'll grow. I shouldn't let this idea that, oh, I'm bad at this, I can't do this, hold me back. You know?
Yep.
So you can learn. Also, don't think I'm saying you will never know, because you can learn. If you don't know something, ask someone. Like I said, I want to write a story about a handicapped person, and so I found someone who I know, who's a friend, who is willing to talk about that, who wants that to be a thing. He wants to help create something like that. So you talk with him and you learn from him, and you grow using that idea in this discussion, and you learn more, and you learn a lot more than you realize when you just sit down and have a discussion with someone, honestly. That's like you walk away. If you go in with your mind ready to learn, you walk out with this crazy new perspective. And that's my tips, I guess, for the week. Write what you know and learn what you don't.
The thing that's really cool about that is, like you said, you took the route of getting experience from it. Being able to do that. It's kind of like you did a previous documentary, if you will, to get all the information you needed before you went ahead and did it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's key. That's key. A lot of people don't do that. I know if I'm gonna do stories, that's gonna, like, if you're doing something from history, something involving samurai, or something involving gladiators, or something involving a historic moment, you want to do your research. You don't want to go and have somebody riding down the hill and going, the blue sheets are coming, because you think it sounds cool. They're gonna be like, dude, that's called the what? Wait, what did you just say? The blue sheets? That's not it. What is? Then all of a sudden you look like a fool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Write what you know, learn what you don't. My takeaway message, my walk away. Easy peasy, fresh and what was it? Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah, not fresh and squeezy. What the heck? Fresh.
We used to say something in middle school. It was fresh and something. I forget what it was. Fresh and sleazy. I don't know. It's a good discussion, Jay. Gotta get that off my chest. I don't do flights, so this is my flight one. No, but Jay, I seriously, I really liked your video, and I know you give me flack because I don't comment on them, but no, I thought it was really good. Really, I want to link it below so you people get a chance to see it. It kind of talks about a lot of this stuff, much shorter, much more succinct than what I have to say. And no, it was good. So please do check it out. How do you feel, Jay?
I'm glad I was able to help. That's the whole reason why I live and breathe at this moment to create. I create, inspire, live. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, taking the proverbial load off of my back, and now I just feel so much better now. I got that out of my system. Thank you for everyone who stayed through that and listened. But You got anything else you want to talk about, Jay? Anything else you want to say on the topic of writing what you know?
No, I think I've said more than enough in like I said, the previous flight, and even in this side. If it's something else that anybody has that we may have missed, or there are any questions at all, please, put them in the comments below, or send a message. You have all the links to follow us. Come by, come one, come all.
Yeah. No, and we're more than we'd love to hear. Like, here's the thing: we don't get that much feedback from people. I wish we got more feedback. I don't even care.
That's going to be the rare unicorn of just creating in general. How many times, that's more of the rare currency. Like, we can get 101 thumbs up, but if we don't get any comments, it's like, oh, really, guys? So I've been a firm believer in trying to go through and comment on stuff besides just liking it, because it's so easy to like. That's just what we're programmed to do in this day and age. And it's like, if there was in DeviantArt, I like how DeviantArt does it, where you hit favorite and they go, well, hey, don't forget to leave a comment. I'm like, oh man, if every site worked like that, we might stand a chance. They might still go, oh, I'll click favorite, screw you, I'm done. And then it's like, oh well, I tried. But yeah, yeah. Again,
Yeah.
you better be creating for you, because
yeah, if you don't create for you, you're running on the treadmill, running in place. You're never gonna you're gonna keep stumbling and falling behind and burning out. That was me. That was my experience. So create what you know, learn what you don't. I think I'll wrap us up for this week, Jay. Is there anything you'd like to close out with?
You can read Infinite the Journey on its home site, www.iamonehero.com. The link will be in the description below, and you can subscribe if you choose to. Description. Confliction.
Deception, disgrace.
And also, if you guys are looking to be a part of an art community, there is the Barrage Crew. It is going to be on Facebook. I'll make sure I have a link in the description below for you. It's pretty much a neat little community that's been through its ups and downs of trying to establish a community for artists to, be a part of a community to hang up their creative hats at and enjoy. And they also do a fellow podcast, episode 0 as well. They talk about I think it's still weekly. I think it's on Thursdays. Again, there will be a link for that as well, so you can check those out. Those are a little bit more zany and off the rails. So if you're looking for a good time to be highly entertained, or just, listen to a bunch of randomness, but also good, insightful information, you'll enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you've been on that. Cameron's been on that. Cameron Knight, who is on episode 3 or 4. I think he was on anyway, but 4. It's our big circle of friends. We hang out a bunch outside of the podcast and whatnot. We usually spend our nights together and hang out talking.
And at the end of the day, we're all on the same road in the same race, doing the exact same thing, shoulder to shoulder, arm to arm. So all for one, absolutely. One for all. The 1,000 Musketeers movement. Hashtag whatever.
1,000 Musketeers. Anyway, Jay, you forgot your catchphrase.
If you don't know by now that greatness lives within you, I don't know what to tell you. You should know that. Greatness lives within and begins with you.
There you go. My name is Joshua Harper. I'm joined by my esteemed co-host, Jerry One Hero. We will see you guys next week. Have a good day. Thank you for showing up. I want to say this actually quick. Jay always says thank you for showing up, and I feel like I don't say it enough. I definitely am. I let him say it because we've kind of established this back and forth, but I'm really thankful for having you guys here and for letting me be able to come out and do this and come out. And the fact that even one person comes out and listens, or the fact that multiple people come out and listen, just blows me away. So I'm very thankful for that. Sorry about that.
If I was Zeus, you'd be Percy Jackson because you just stole my lightning.
Grabbed it and yanked it away. Gotcha.
Good job.
Yeah. All right. My name is Joshua Harper, joined by my esteemed co-host Jerry One Hero. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys. I love you.